have a program called 2 Steps to Disaster Preparedness. And this is month 3. So if you haven't checked out the other months, go back and do that. So month 3 is around utilities and sanitation. I know, sanitation is not something that we like to think about in this culture, but that along with our utilities, we have really outsourced. However, in a large scale, disaster, some of those utilities may not be there for us. So we want to think about what do we need to do now in order to kind of be prepared for a possible disruption to services. So on our website, and once again, you can get this at 2stepsamonth.weebly.com, or you can get it at richmondrivets.org. It walks you through step by step of what you need to do. So step 1 is around utilities. So some things that you want to do now, if you don't already know it, is you're going to go out and you're going to check and see where the gas shutoff is at your house. This is the gas meter. You're going to need a shutoff tool. Mine is attached, which is great so that I know where it always is, but it's not so helpful if my neighbors also need to turn their gas off. You can also use a crescent wrench. Once again, you want to have it by the meter, so if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not searching for the tool. Keep it wrapped in plastic or something. This is where the valve is. It goes up and down in the direction that the gas flows, or actually the gas would be flowing that way, and you're going to need to turn it a quarter turn so that it goes across the bar. These things don't get moved very often, so what you're going to probably want to do is get a cheater bar. So you basically take a piece of metal pipe, stick your crescent wrench in, so then you're going to be able to have more leverage to turn it on and off. It doesn't matter which way you turn it, as long as it goes across the bar. You can also buy and get these gadgets attached that automatically turn it off if there's a lot of shaking. You need to have a special wrench to be able to turn it off. Now, don't go turn it off just as a practice. You only turn it off under 3 conditions. If you see it, and what I mean by see it is you have to know what the dials look like or the meter looks like in regular time. So if it's going way too fast, faster than normal, after like an earthquake, then that would be seeing it. So you would turn off the gas if you see it, if you hear it, and it's going to hear like a hissing sound, or if you smell it, okay? And it's the gas, the natural gas that comes through the pipelines is odorized, and it smells like rotting eggs, so it's quite distinct. So if you see it, hear it, or smell it, you have to get a shutoff valve or like a crescent wrench and turn it off. And I'm going to show you just a little piece about what the on-off position looks like. In the diagram of the shutoff valve, you can see that in the on position, the gas can flow straight through because the bar is in the same direction parallel to the flow of gas. In the off position, you would turn it a quarter turn, it doesn't matter which way, and then it's blocking it. Now, if you have to turn it off, don't turn it back on. So you turned it off for a reason, because there's a leak. So after a while, you're going to need to, get someone out from the utilities. And once again, that might take several days to several weeks in order for them to come and assess where the leak was and repair that. So don't turn your gas back on after you turned it off. No, no, no. So electricity. So what you want to do now, and once again we always have these do now pieces, is you want to go and you want to look and find out where the electrical panel is for your house or building. If you live in an apartment complex, find out who's responsible for turning off the electricity, and if that original person's unavailable, who's going to be your backup. So once again, we have all of this on the sheet that you can download, and in an emergency, you can turn off the breakers, you can turn off the switches and turn them back on, and it's not like the gas. But obviously, if there's an issue with your electricity, like broken lines, you wouldn't want to turn it back on. So you would want to turn off in an emergency your electricity if there's a gas leak, because electrical sparks can cause a fire. It is better to turn off the individual switches before turning off the main circuit. So I'll show you a little picture of what an electrical box looks like. Here's my electrical panel. The type that I have has breakers. If you have fuses and you need to remove them, hold on to them and don't lose them. And water. Okay, so you want to know, once again, do now, go outside, scope around the perimeter of your building, and find out where does the water enter your house or your apartment. Don't look for the piece out on the curb. Look for where it enters the house. That's your main shutoff valve. Main water shutoff may be outside or might be located in a garage. It's going to be a knob. Now, it really is going to depend on your particular situation. Like an earthquake country, there's an earthquake, you go out, you check on the gas. If you see it, hear it, smell it, you turn it off. And then you go turn your water off. And the reason why it's recommended that you turn your water off after a major earthquake is that if you have water in a water tank, that could actually have been shaken and you could have it drained. So here you think you have 40 to 60 gallons of water and it's now gone because it drained out of your system. And the other thing is that if there are ruptures into the main water line, you don't want that coming into your line. So you want to kind of keep your lines clean of contamination. Now, sanitation, step 2. Something that we don't really think about in this culture. So if there's a major disaster and we lose water, that one of the consequences is that toilets don't work. So don't be using your toilet. Don't poop in there or pee in there, because it's going to be nasty, especially like in an earthquake where you're going to have no service for an extended period of time. So what we recommend is a 2-bucket system. Why 2 buckets? Well, one is for urine. Urine coming out of the body is pretty much sterile unless you live in a tropical climate. There are a couple diseases that can be transmitted through urine. And then feces or poop, that goes in a second bucket, as well as like menstrual blood. And you think about it, why would you take something that's wet and pretty much sterile and mix it with something that's can spread diseases and is solid? Because now you've got like twice the volume and it really smells worse. So keep those separate. There is a fabulous handout that you want to download. This is one of your do nows. It's through Portland, Oregon, the city of Portland, Oregon. They have a sewer catastrophe companion. And once again, there'll be a link in the video piece as well as on the handout. Download that, print it so that you have a hard copy, because if the electricity goes out, you're not going to be able to access all the great resources on how do you manage that, especially not just for your house, but for the larger system. Because once again, if people are just, thinking they're going to go in the bush, that's not a good strategy when you live in an urban area and there are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people living by you. So having a plan in place. The Sewer Catastrophe Companion is a great guide. Print it out now, share it widely, and have hard copies. So we always have a tip of the month. The tip of the month for this month is making a map of your neighborhood. So if you live on a block would be a good thing. Unless you have a really large block, then you might want to separate out. You can go into Google Maps, and I have a video link on the handout, and I'll put it in the description piece as well. And if you make a map on Google Map, then you can actually write and put X's where all the gas meters are, because the last thing you want to do is have it 2 o'clock in the morning and there's an earthquake and you're trying to scavenge around and figure out where all the gas meters are located in your whole block. Because once again, if you can turn those off, if they need to be turned off, you're going to minimize fires, and that's going to be a benefit to everybody in your community. So make a map, do it with your neighbors, make sure everybody has a copy of that map, and that will be a great benefit to you all. So once again, this is really meant to be done in community, and local resilience and ability to be more prepared is something that we can all do, and it's a lot better if we can do it together. So, we can do it. 2 Steps a Month is a project of the Richmond Rivets, a transition town initiative in Richmond, California, dedicated to helping our community and beyond live more locally and resiliently. We also have a seed lending library in the Richmond Public Library. If you're interested in having a seed lending library in your own community, go to our Create a Library resources and join the 12,000-year-old tradition of growing and sharing local seed.